Hey guys, stances. Wow, massive topic to talk about, so many things to talk about when we're talking about stances. Anybody that's ever practiced karate knows when you come into the dojo, your sensei is probably yelling at you, hey, get lower in your stances, get deeper in your stances, I need to see better stances. What the heck is he talking about? We're gonna do a multi-part video series where we deep dive. Each video is going to be about a particular stance specific to shorin-ryu or matsubashi-ryu karate, and we're going to investigate each stance. We're going to talk about why does the stance exist? What are some of the things or common mistakes that people do when they're doing the stance? What's the proper way to do the stance? And what are some exercises that we can do to help us improve with each stance? Stick around, we're going to do a multi-part video series on YouTube. Please subscribe and leave your comments. I love to hear your feedback. I love to hear your questions. Let's get started. Stances. So the first stance I want to talk about is zenkutsu dachi stance. If you've never practiced martial arts before, you probably don't have any idea what I'm talking about, so I'm going to show you what the stance looks like, and then we can talk a little bit about the stance. So zenkutsu dachi stance is a stance that we consider to be long and fairly deep, which basically means, your feet are spread pretty far apart, and you're also sunk down into this sort of bent knee position. One of the common things that I like to correct on my students when I'm teaching them this stance is if you can see your toe over your, sticking out past your front knee, it means that you're probably too high and lazy in your stance. And I always tell my students, and this is something senseis are always going on about, is drop down lower in that stance so that you cannot see your toe over your front knee. And for the back leg, some people have the back leg locked out, okay? Other folks, you'll see they have a little bit more of a relaxed, slightly bent back leg. Either one, depending on its application, is okay. Another important thing to think about here is where your pelvis is, okay? A very common mistake in this stance is people tend to have their pelvis bent forward and they sort of sit with a bit of a lean like this with their technique. This is very common and a big no-no, because now your center of balance is too far forward and you're quite vulnerable here. When instead you should have that pelvis sort of tipped back, and you should be sitting almost like you're sitting on a motorcycle, and your back is sort of able to be more straight in the stance. So that's a general overview of zenkutsu dachi stance. Okay, so how do I step? How do I move when I'm in zenkutsu dachi stance? In shorin-ryu, matsubashi-ryu, we just sort of move straight through, okay? So that's real simple. The idea is you want to stay down low. You don't want to come up when you're stepping and then drop back down again, okay? That's considered a bit of a mistake. You're trying to work the legs here, okay? Ultimately, we're building leg strength with this stance. So when you're moving in the stance, you want to stay down. You want to stay down in the stance. It works the thigh, and then as you switch, now this thigh is getting worked, okay? So you want to stay down in the stance as you're moving in zenkutsu dachi stance. Okay, so one final thing that I want to talk about with position here is the position of the back foot. So if you just want to come in a little bit, you'll see that my back foot is on about, if this is a line, a straight line here between my 2 feet, my back foot is on sort of a 45-degree angle shooting out. One common mistake that you see in this stance is sometimes people have a tendency to have the back foot sort of perpendicular to their body. That's not considered proper positioning of the back foot. And then conversely, some other people tend to have it rolled over sort of too much, where now they're sort of sitting on top of their own knee in a way, and I can actually feel there's quite a bit of tension in my calf there when I position my back foot like that. So you want to make sure that you're in a comfortable about 45-degree position. And if you look at how wide my stance is, okay, you'll see that I'm not too wide like this, which is quite awkward, but also I'm not too narrow. This position here, I'm sort of fighting a little bit to maintain my balance because I don't have a wide enough disbursement of my base, okay? So you want to make sure that you're wide enough where you feel quite sturdy in this stance, and make sure that the back foot is pointed properly. Okay, so now that we've got the fundamentals of the stance figured out, what are some exercises that you can do to help build a stronger zenkutsu dachi stance, okay? I just want to say, blanket statement right here, any core related exercises that you can do will improve your stances. So let's just assume that that's true. Okay, so we'll put that aside. In addition to core related exercises, what are some specific exercises that you can do to help you improve your zenkutsu dachi stance? Okay, well, here's a couple. First, you can do knee bends, okay? So you can stand sort of with your hands on your hips, or if you want to have your hands out to the side, up to the front, it doesn't matter, whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, I'll just use my hips. And you can just do knee bends. So you come down, all the way down. Try to bring your knee down just so it's about to touch the floor. Hold it, 1, 2, 3, and then slowly back up again. The key here is not to drop down too fast. Okay, the key instead is to have a controlled descent when you're doing your knee bend. So you come down nice in controlled fashion, hold it, 1, 2, 3, and then a nice controlled fashion back up again. And you're just basically switching knees back and forth and doing knee bends, okay? If you're finding that that is kind of easy for you to do, you can do the same exercise, but you can use weights to add resistance. So here I've got a couple of small dumbbells, and I'm gonna do exactly the same exercise. I just step forward. Now I've got a lot more weight bearing down on my legs, but I'm doing exactly the same exercise. Dropping nice and slow. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oop. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay? You want to do these in repetitions of about 10, and then take a break for 20 or 30 seconds, and then repeat. And 3 sets is always good. Another exercise that you can do is a squat. Okay? And again, I don't have a squat rack here, but a squat rack is a great way to add more weight when you're doing your squats. But squats in general are a great exercise to work not only the core, but also the leg muscles. So you can stand with your feet shoulder width apart. You can have your hands out to the front. I like to have my hands out to the front. Some people put their hands on their waist. Either, again, is absolutely fine. And you just want to count nice and slow. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And again, you want to do these in sets of 10, and then take a break. Count to 30, and then do another set. 3 sets again is probably the way to go. And if you, again, have weight, if you have a barbell that you can use across your back, then that's even better. It adds weight, particularly if you've been doing this for a while and you feel like this is getting really easy for you to do, adding weight makes it more challenging. So those are 2 cool little exercises that you can do to help you build leg strength. Thanks guys, thanks for checking out the first video. Today we focused on the proper elements of doing a zenkutsu dachi stance. We talked about some of the common errors people make when they're doing a zenkutsu dachi stance, and we finished off with some really neat little exercises that you can do to help you build your leg strength, which will ultimately help you perform a better zenkutsu dachi stance. So this is the first video in a multi-part video series. I'm going to be putting out 1 video every week which focuses on a particular stance. Please subscribe to the channel. Please leave your comments and your feedback, and even better yet, please let me know if you have any suggestions for some cool videos that I can do in the future. I would love to be able to help you guys better your karate. Sensei Jason, shorin-ryu.ca. Please check out the website, and we will see you guys next time. Until then, happy training.